My name's Owen. I'm the Dungeon Master of our Return of the Giants campaign.
Hey guys, I'm Jared. I'm playing the character of Krasus, Antares, a Astral Elf Wizard.
Hi everybody, I'm Michael. I'm playing Tetra Knight, Circle Stars Druid.
Hi, my name's Claire. I am playing Nauthiz, or Now, who is a Dwarven-forged fighter.
Hi, I'm Ali, and I'm playing Lyra, the Eladrin Druid.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm playing Niles Silverwind, the monk Owlin.
Hi guys, my name's Simon. I'm playing the character of Ember. He wants to be a master of wildfire, but does he have the skills to be best one?
Hi, I'm Dave. My character is Harry Harrington, the Harengon, a roguish merchant with a heart of gold.
Hello!
Hello!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Lost Archives for Return of the Giants, our exciting homebrew 5th edition campaign. It's lovely to see all your faces again, and it's lovely to have you here joining us. Thank you so much, and again, thank you to our lovely guest characters, Dave and Simon, who got in the intro today. The intro video is there. It's working. The only thing left that I need to do is update that banner, because I tried to update the YouTube one and the dimension requirements have changed since I did the other banner, and it compressed the image to look like it was composed of about a 32 by 32 pixel canvas. So I will have to have a bit of a look at that and see what I'm doing wrong to update it. But we will have a brand new banner coming out for Twitch, for YouTube, with all of our new characters on it. So very, very excited for that. Massive thank you to everybody who joined us for Avatar Legends last night, and for those of you who joined us for Curse of Strahd on Monday night. We had a lovely guest character. Josh from Roll Together RPG came and joined us for the Curse of Strahd campaign. Definitely make sure, once we're all wrapped up here, go and check out twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg. Awesome group of fellow streamers. They are sort of like a network of lots of different streamers, which we are kind of like friends of and like slightly affiliated with, which is really exciting. So we've been I've been doing some stuff with them, which is what brings me to this Friday on their Twitch channel. There is a episode coming out of their Table Talks live stream and podcast, which is where one of their team interviews a dungeon master from another stream or a player from another stream and asks some questions based on the roll of a dice. And I was the guest character for them. We recorded it last Friday. It's coming out this Friday. I will have the link in the description and as a pinned comment. Make sure you go check it out. Josh and I had a great time hanging out. Lots of really cool questions, and I got to sort of share some behind the scenes stuff for Curse of Strahd, Avatar Legends, and for Return of the Giants. No spoilers, but some cool behind the scenes knowledge and information. So yeah, definitely go check that out. That's all the news from me for this week. Anything fun to announce? Anything fun to share? No, it's just been a week, I think.
I'm not a fun person, so there's nothing.
Amazing.
Well, it's over now, but I definitely spent way too much money during Steam sales.
Yeah.
I
finally. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go on.
No. I was just going to say I kept Steam closed for the whole Steam sale, and that was the only way I could protect myself.
Me too.
Yeah.
My PC's over there. It's not even plugged in at the moment.
That's commitment.
That's commitment. No, I went away for a boys' weekend, and finally had a chance to open up my my Betrayal at Baldur's Gate board game, which I played.
How was it?
It was really good. It was really good. It was definitely interesting. So there's basically like 50 different missions that you can do, but you don't know what the mission is until halfway through the game. So the start of the game is just you kind of like leveling up, and like just exploring and doing stuff. And then as soon as like you trigger the event, like it like someone on the table is like the traitor, and they become like the bad guy. And
it's a lot like Betrayal at House on the Hill.
It is, but it's set in Baldur's Gate.
But it's set in Baldur's Gate.
I'm keen to play that. I've been playing a lot of the Witcher Old World board game, which I kickstarted like a year and a half ago. So I've got all the expansions. It is so good. Alice and I did the first playthrough of the Wild Hunt cooperative mode. We've played with every other expansion and we love it to pieces. We did the first cooperative mode. We just survived on the easiest difficulty. So looking forward to playing a bit more of that. She was a mage and I was a Witcher.
That's cool.
Tell you what, definitely finding School of the Bear Witcher, just like in Witcher 3, School of the Bear Witcher is very nicely powerful.
Okay.
You just got defense for days. It's like anything that hits you, it's like, no, it doesn't though. Oh, does it hit? No, it doesn't though. It actually doesn't. It just sort of bounces off my excessively heavy armor. But yeah, I've been thoroughly enjoying The Witcher Old World, and I wouldn't mind doing as like a special episode sometime, doing a playthrough of that with some cameras recording it, because it's one that actually would be a lot of fun to live stream, because it's very story based. Like there's a lot of mechanics that happen in it, but there's like every turn you basically have like a story event occur for each player, and you go on quests that you have to solve, and you're given like moral conundrums and choices that kind of branch off from each other. It's really cool. So if you're a tabletop player or a board game player, I do thoroughly recommend The Witcher Old World. Definitely get the Mages expansion, because playing as a mage is super fun. And I also thoroughly recommend the Legendary Hunt, because it makes the monsters just that much more scary. And that's what we're all about, right? That's what we're here for. Scary monsters. I will have to get Baldur's Gate. Damn it, man! I promised myself I wouldn't buy any more board games this year, but
it's good.
Yeah. Damn it. Okay. I'll just buy it right now. Anyway, let's do a recap for last week's session and dive straight into the campaign. Okay, let me find my notes. Here we go. The Tempest Adventuring Guild, a name now legendary across the lands of Nostea, has formed a brand new team. Lyra, Tetra, Niles, Nauthiz and Krasus have been sent to the nearby settlement of Laspire to locate the hill giant fort recently seen flying overhead in the nearby area. Teaming up with Harry, a travelling Harengon merchant, and Ember, a Firbolg Druid, the group have travelled deep into a cave network to locate and rescue the captured villagers from the nearby town. With the assistance of Balthazar, a mage from Oxenfurt, the team were able to portal the villagers out of harm's way using Arcane Gate, not Dimension Door. I said Dimension Door last time. I meant Arcane Gate. I got them mixed up. Apologies. While they faced off against the cultists and their leader, a large white crystal Genasi, Kavanus, who was similar in appearance to Tetra. After an extremely tense battle, the team were victorious, managing to slay Kavanus despite taking some heavy damage themselves. But just as the team began to search for clues of what the cult had been doing near Laspire, the damaged giant relic implanted into Kavanus' hand seemed to activate, causing the matching implants to begin pulsing on the hands of each of the team. The team once again awoke, experiencing the lives of giants in the far distant past of Nostea, with each of them assuming a different giant race. Some of them the same as last time, some of them a new giant race. They found themselves in a sort of council meeting, determining where the elven refugees from the Feywilds, what land would be granted to them heading forwards. After debating backwards and forwards a little bit, as well as meeting up with Sin Mare, the princess of the Cloud Giant, princess of the Storm Giant faction, the group decided to actually go ahead and speak to these refugee elves, learning that they were ideally looking for somewhere with lots of woodland, fresh water, access to forested areas. We left off last session as the group arrived back in the Storm's Redoubt, the massive flying storm castle that is currently hovering high above the center of Oshia. As you all walk back into these council chambers, Sinmare bows at the doors and then closes them behind her, leaving you once again just with each other for company. And that's where we're jumping straight back in. You know that you have, or your giants, the lives of the giants that you're inhabiting, these echoes, you know that they've been given the unenviable position of deciding which giant clans should lose land to be gifted to these elven refugees, knowing that it's only for 100 years. I pass over to all of you. What would you guys like to do?
I wouldn't mind seeing if we could find a way to give land that is for more than just one type of giant, because I feel like this is getting into a bit of an issue now.
Yes.
The issue is where?
Then again, why didn't one of the hill giants come and join us? I mean,
Well,
we
they're
don't really get
probably
any
going and
points.
eating something. You know how they are. Like, they get hungry.
Do you know how they are?
Do I? I don't know. No, it's...
So you guys, as like in the last session, you were told that the hill giants needed a certain amount of land to hunt, and they had to be constantly moved, because the hill giants tend to be quite ravenous, they have to be constantly moved around, so their land isn't all located in one spot. They've got these kind of preserves set out all around the continent of Oshia, or the continent that will become Oshia in the future, and the hill giants are kind of forced to live an almost nomadic migratory lifestyle, moving between these different preserves while the wilds basically regenerates after they've been there. So you do know that, Tetra.
I mean, I guess the question is, I think it's probably going to need some sort of, at least some area of the hill giant land in order to, have a space that's appropriate for the elves. I mean, I guess it's not so much a question of where and more, what can we do to make it worth the hill giants' while? I mean, if it's a question of food scarcity and stuff, if, maybe we can get all the giant clans together and, make sure that they, have a ready source of food and stuff like that.
Well, according to our friend, it's not about food source possible, because wasn't he saying that they could be there and take their land away from them and it wouldn't affect them unduly? I think it's more the ego-driven hit of being, we're the only ones that they're being given up land. So I don't know. It just feels like we need to do something at least to make it feel like it's fair for them.
Is there a borderland, maybe? Sort of the northern side of hill giant land and the southern side of other land that's just as suitable?
I mean, is there? Because Tetra seems to remember she's able to draw the map pretty well. So Owen, does it look like there's an area that would be mostly part of the hill giant stuff, but maybe laps into some other into another giants thing where it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to put the elves there, kind of thing?
Yeah. So as you look at the again, that sort of southwestern and western edge of the continent that will become Oshia at some point in the future, the large tract of hill giant land there seems to border onto a section belonging to the storm giants, an area that is currently almost directly underneath where the Storm's Redoubt is right now, actually.
I mean, I don't want to speak for the storm giants,
take
but
some land from the storm.
I mean, it sounds good to me, but I don't know what ramifications that will have for the storm giants.
Yeah, also, don't we have a bit of an unfair advantage? I know we're scared of messing with time-space continuums and things that I don't quite understand, but, well, I kind of understand a bit better now, but we could put them where we know that they'll be.
That's true.
Maybe that's
very true.
I mean, isn't that area modern-day Oxenfurt?
Oxenfurt's probably a little bit further north of where this is, but we're not talking massive distances. Actually, somewhat ironically, this isn't too far from the town of Greennest, which is where the Tyranny of Dragons campaign kicked off. It's actually, you guys are actually not too far away from Greennest.
Wow, cool.
Which is quite funny.
We know they're gonna settle the lands eventually anyway. I mean, assuming all the time stuff still lines up when we get back, but I think, I think that, having the storm giants maybe give up some of that land, and we need to find a way to make it sort of worth the hill giants' while, I guess.
As you guys are kind of deliberating, trying to figure out what you're going to do here, there comes a knock at the door. And as these two large double doors swing inwards, you see King Mjorn striding into the room once again. Well, have you come to a decision?
Possibly. And she sort of, gives the others a bit of a panicked look, and it's just sort of
we actually wouldn't mind getting some input from you, because we've been discussing amongst ourselves. And this area will indicate the area they're talking about. Looks like it would be, pretty good. It's not taking too much away from the hill giants, and it looks like it would be a good area for the elves, which we went and had a chat to with your daughter.
I'm sorry, what? Sinmare was not supposed to be involved in these meetings. Has she been... He sort of looks around, almost looking a bit ashamed.
Why do you look the way you do?
Why is it face?
What is your face?
I love Poppy in the background just squeezing that toy, because that's almost like the dog equivalent of going like, what's your face doing? What's up?
Sure.
It's amazing.
Sure.
King Yorn looks over towards you, Lyra, looking like almost a bit shocked that you've kind of called him out on this as the current king of the Storm Giants, leader of the All Thing, and then someone just casually, a cloud giant, just casually being like, what's your face doing? What's up?
Giants be like that.
Yeah, they can be a bit like that. I'm sorry, my esteemed guests, if she has intruded upon your time and broken the rules of this enclave and intruded upon this council. I apologize. I had spoken to her that she was only to be available for translation if required.
Oh, well,
Not
she was.
necessary.
Yeah, she was required. We asked for her to help us.
Oh, you requested her?
Yes.
Oh, and you watch as relief, palpable relief, begins to pour off him. Well, please disregard any earlier statements. Sorry, this tract of land you're pointing to, this was going to be one of the sites of a Nexal node, a power station for channeling elemental energy. We had already arranged this, but if you think that this is the best location for the elves to be housed, I can see that it will use a little bit of storm giant land, and a hint of disapproval comes into his voice as he says that. But I could see that...
Yeah, we thought it best that the hill giants didn't hold the whole burden of having to, seed land. We thought it would help with, the relations with the rest of us, considering they are not here and able to speak for themselves.
I rather think that's why we should potentially take more from them, so that they try not to miss these in future.
Well, that's true, but the vast majority is coming from them. But we want to make it seem like at least it was it wasn't just to punish them. It was,
Can you make me a persuasion check, please, Michael? I love that Poppy's just having the best time in the background and Matt's slowly dying inside. Do not tell your dog off, Matt. She's gorgeous and we love her. Oh, no, yeah, bring her on stream. Yeah. Hey, cutie. Oh, she's so gorgeous. She looks like a giant version of my dog. It's actually crazy.
Yeah.
That is an 8. Tetra, as you sort of present these arguments, you watch as King Neon sort of like this kind of not stern expression, but almost like a parent looking at a child who hasn't quite understood the task that they've been set. There's this kind of like slight dismissiveness to his expression as he goes, right. If you, as the council, deem this as the best move, and it is unanimous vote, I will, of course, approve it. I just want you to think very carefully. And he turns towards the 2 storm giants in the room, which is... who are our 2 storm giants? Sorry, let me just pull open.
Me.
I think it's... Yeah, Claire and... Oh, is it just you, Claire?
Yeah, it's 2.
No, it's also Matt, Niles.
Matt, that's right. Yeah, Niles and... Yep. Niles and
That's right.
Nauthiz. He turns towards you 2 in particular, giving you a bit of a look. I hope that... I hope that you have been able to... ratify these decisions and argue in the best interests of each of your giant clans, as he says, continually staring at Nauthiz and Niles.
Smile. Now just smiles right back. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure they will be amicable with this decision.
We haven't quite made a decision.
Yeah, no, of course. This is just the front runner. I'm sure we might be able to find a more a better solution, maybe. But it's a long process.
Well, I will be back when you are ready to vote. In that case, I will call together the other giant Jarls, leaders, and reeves, and prepare to present your findings and your decision to the council. The Althing will be gathering soon. If you were able to potentially hurry up this decision, I would be most grateful.
Okay.
We will do our best.
Wonderful. He gives you a nod, backs out of the room, and closes the doors behind him.
That was awkward.
Jeez, dusty old windbag.
I'm not sure what he was meaning by that. I'm very worried.
I think we're kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't.
I think we're going to offend someone.
Yeah, it just depends on how much and who.
And how much strife is it going to cause for the elves? Like, as much as they're going to... If the hill giants are as savage as they say they are, they might just eat them all.
And also the storm giants not being super keen about them either. They'll literally be caught in the middle.
To play devil's advocate, I mean, having it on this split parcel of land, the hill giants would be less likely to stray onto the storm giant territory, giving the elves sort of a little bit of a leeway of, sort of protection land almost.
What about the idea of them all being in different sections and splitting them up?
They didn't want that. They said they wanted it together.
Question.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably a very obvious. Well, maybe not so much of an obvious. Is there any pieces of land that intersect with more than just the two, the storm giants and the hill giants? Is there like a five?
Is there a Settlers of Catan situation?
It's funny you ask
Like
that.
a Real World one, like a Mekong River Delta situation.
Yes. It's funny you ask that, Niles. As you begin sort of like spinning that illusionary globe, the illusionary representation of the planet, as you begin sort of like spinning it around, there is a point where 4 different clans' land intersects.
Let's go. Okay.
It's a little bit to the north of where you guys are now, almost up near the top of Oshia. As you sort of have a bit of a look, it's roughly around where some of the smaller towns would be located. Far further north of Laspire, where you guys are, which is north again of Oxenford. It's much more north of that. Not too far away from Cloudfodge, which is where Wiltix in Tyranny of Dragons went to go and investigate his werewolf nature. So it's up right near the north. The ice giants control the northern part of this area, including some of the islands that intersect and are just off the coast of this landmass here. The stone giants control most of the area underneath, as well as a mountain range that rises in the middle. To the south of that is a fire giant volcano. It's a very small area of land. It is essentially just the volcano forge. You can see there are about 8 other fire giant forges scattered around the globe that are isolated. This is the only one that's kind of on its own. However, the others all have areas of fire giant land around them. This one is a singular forge. And then the last giant clan that's represented there is the hill giants. That area to the south, the marshland that then leads into forested areas, is all hill giant territory. But there's an intersection point where all 4 clans own land.
Hold up. So the intersection point is, sorry, Jared, but the intersection point is ice, fire, stone, and
Hill.
Would we be throwing them out of the firing pan and into the fire, though? I mean, I feel like it's going to be sort of a 4-way gank on the poor elves if we...
Well, that's the thing. If they piss off 4 of them, then they have to deal with 4 of them. But also, the land itself sounds a lot less hospitable than
Yeah,
It
the
does.
other area. There's a
does.
lot that doesn't sound super habitable.
Mm.
it's
And
not one I'd pick in Catan. So.
no,
What if it? But it's a 6 on the dice roll. I mean,
Oh,
Yeah, see? There you go.
I mean, there's just no farmland for them to utilize. Like,
Well, the
it's
hill
like
giant area
forest.
is.
the hill giant area is so the
hill giant area, though, you said was marshland and forest.
marshland and forest.
So
Not most ideal.
It's not the most ideal. 100% not the most ideal.
Yeah.
But
I mean, well, what we know of elves do generally like forests,
it's
and
true.
they do, and even though the marshlands are not great, forests are still pretty fertile. They're just
Yep.
not like open farm fertile.
I've had an idea. For some reason, I'm really aware of politics right now. So, if we did put them in the hill giant area, one of the conditions of that is that the other clans have to protect the elves if they get attacked by the hill giants.
So like a defense pact.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
Not a bad
an
idea.
idea.
Thinking. It's
I
fun.
think because
What?
I do think that it sucks for the hill giants, but to be honest, I feel like that area is more hospitable for like to start a nation, pretty much. The other area, like even though it does have like some pockets of forests and marshlands, I don't think it's enough to like sustain a massive population
Yeah.
center. You could also, I think you got to put something there though too. You need to give something to the hill giants if you're going to take away from them. That's what you need. Like this is like providing protection for the elves, which is great. But you need to like sweeten the pot for the hill giants. Otherwise, they're just eventually going to like
Yeah, the hill giants are going to want something.
out of some form of rebellion or revolt.
Like mammoth meat.
But that means that we need to give them something that belongs to one of the other giant clans.
Mammoth meat. Yeah.
Well, I feel like you might. What I reckon you do is, I think every clan has to provide some form of an offering, like even if it's small. Like maybe the frost giants provide some livestock or something, and like some furs. Maybe like some of the other clans can also pitch in some other little things, just to provide to them as a gift, because they are losing some of their lands.
Yeah.
Compensation.
Especially if we phrase it in the way of, sort of avoiding a rekindling of war. I mean, not that they'd probably go to war, but I don't think they'd be overly
they wouldn't.
likely to join future meetings.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't joined this one though.
That's
Yeah, true.
I think they have no interest in politics, which then that also does sort of give. It's like if they're not here, then it's like you don't really have much of a say in what happens.
Plus,
Maybe
even
they
if
had a
we
good
do,
reason.
because even if we do all of this based on our knowledge of what the hill giants are like, even if we create all of these plans and say there's all these reparations, you're going to lose land, like how amicable are the hill giants going to be? Like
At the end of the day,
That's how we
then
present it to them, being like, "Hey, by the way, we figured out a way that you don't have to go forage as much."
yeah, well, that's right.
that's what I mean.
Enslaved.
If you give them like food without them having to go forage for it, I think that's sort of like says sort of something to their nature, because they don't have to go and forage themselves if they're provided with some food.
Although something that Sinmari brought up was it
Yeah.
wasn't just food, it was, also possible cultural significance of the site itself. I mean, it's almost as if I wish we could just give them the two options and just sort of let them choose and sort of, go option A is the hill giant land with the little bit of storm giant land, gives the elves a bit of reprieve if the hill giants are less than amicable. But maybe option 2 could be, well, if this land here isn't suitable, can you guys suggest a different area of land that doesn't have the cultural significance? But they wanted a firm answer, so I'm not sure if that's going to work.
I
Yeah.
think it's going to work.
Also, it would be nice to figure out if the
Some
hill
giants
giants actually do have a cultural stake in this area, because Sinmare said that as like a possibility, but not like
Yeah.
it is.
But looking at the map, is there a particular clan that has more land than others?
Oh, the storm giants
the hill, wasn't
by
it?
far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Followed by...
Cloud.
Okay.
What's with the cloud? I thought they have their floating castles.
They also
Oh,
have
right.
areas of land that they own as well. No, none of them are settled. All of their buildings, all of their cities are all flying, but they still own sections of land. Yeah. So it's what's up with that is the expression Claire is using right now for those of you listening to the podcast.
Do we have a resident cloud giant here?
Yeah, I know all about them. Don't ask me anything.
We have
Yeah.
two.
You got two. Yeah, you got two cloud giants.
What kind of land is the cloud giant land? Like, well, the land part of the cloud giant land.
It's a bit of a diverse mix. They own most of the island of Balmir, or what will become the island continent of Balmir, which is owned by the dwarves in your history, where in your timeline, as well as a large section of the deserts of Chiari, the draconic continent down towards the south. So, I mean, it's hard to say for sure, but it looks like the Cloud Giants might have not been able to retain those lands once the other two Eldar races arrived.
I think the thing we never thought about was if we start thinking about putting them in a different area than they actually settled in, you might actually start forcing out other races. Because if you put them in the dwarven area where the dwarves originally were,
Yeah.
suddenly the elves are originally there now. So what happens to the dwarves?
That's why I'm wondering if we just don't use the fact that we've all time traveled for some reason and distribute them as we know that they should be.
I'm with Now on this. I mean,
Well, I mean, yeah.
That's my name.
It is your name. Well, that's it. I mean, the elves don't really have a central place as far as I'm aware. They're sort of scattered
But
everywhere.
do we
the
know
humans
where
are.
they started? I don't know much about Nostea history.
That's a very good question. Who would be the best person to make these history checks? I would say probably the most likely to know is going to be Krasus, given that you are an elf.
That's weak.
Yeah, and well, more importantly, you're an elf scholar. Like you're
Oh,
a
yeah.
wizard.
This is
So
true.
You're a wizard.
you're a wizard, Krasus. You're an elf scholar. So you are the most likely to know. Would you like to make me a history check, please, Krasus?
All right, so I'll open that on Krasus's because I only have my frost giant up at the moment. So,
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh yeah.
what do I have my mental stats?
Use your giant's mental stats.
Then I will be
Oh.
the worst at this.
All of you are using your giant stats while you are in the giant bodies.
Okay, so we don't have
It's
to
an
open up
8.
that one.
8. Krasus, as you go to try and focus and remember, you're having a lot of trouble. You know the information's there somewhere in your mind, or at least some hints, but you just can't quite seem to find them. It's almost like it's very far away, foggy, just out of touch.
Like in my other body.
Yeah, just out of reach.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll let everyone sort of.
Hmm.
Well, I guess we've been talking more out of character for the moment because
No, I've had you guys chatting in character. It makes sense that you would have this conversation in character.
Oh, okay. Damn, then I haven't been speaking in my accent.
That's
Well, yeah.
But no, I'll look at everyone and be like, "Look, it's too foggy in my head at the moment to think. There's a lot at play. Apologies."
I guess what we do know is Oxenfurt and Palin are both really old towns and cities.
And if the elves were the first race to come down here, then it makes sense mathematically that the older cities had the oldest races originally. What? What?
Nothing.
Tetra gives now a very, almost I would describe it as a confused yet penetrating glare.
Makes sense.
I didn't realize you understood numbers.
Jesus.
Neither did I.
Good lord.
Dang.
I'm 11 intelligence now.
Oh, let's go!
Oh, let's
You guys have been talking for some time. Another polite knock, this one far more quiet, comes at the door. But the doors do not open.
Yeah, Lyra just shouts out, "Who is it?"
Lockie! Sinmari has sent me to interface with you.
Come in.
Come on in!
The doors open to reveal a clockwork warforged, constructed of beautiful, intricately designed components, a mixture of electrum, brass, copper, as well as these absolutely gorgeous titanium strips. I mean, this is Lockie brand new, perfectly formed, and the size of a giant as well, I should point out. Probably about as tall as the fire giants and frost giants in the room. A little bit underneath the cloud and storm. As he strides into the room, he looks to each of you, gives a very slight bow of his head as he goes round, in order of Storm, Cloud, Fire, Frost, Stone, and Hill, and then stands to attention and goes, Sinmare suggested I speak with you in case you had any need of my services. She said that you might... Hello?
Oh, I just had a quick question. Of these two sites, and she just points to Old Oxenfurt and Old Palin, any cultural significance for the hill giants? Areas of ceremony, burial, yada yada yada?
I don't believe that either site is used for burial purposes. The hill giants burn their dead. In terms of the actual, cultural significance, I know that this area towards the west, because you said Palin and Oxenfurt.
Oh.
This
Does
area...
that call him a weird, temporal... Because he's, fresh Lockie. Does that mean he's...
I was about to say no, but then Lockie had that incident with time travel when he fucked up the time orb. Yep. Michael, could you please roll me a percentile dice? because that timing of that temporal anomaly with Lockie actually wasn't too far off this period of time.
Oh
yeah.
Nah, it wasn't.
It wasn't too far off. 58. Okay. As you say Palin and Oxenfurt, Lockie pauses for a second and then goes, I will update my designations for these locations. You have named them. I like it. No?
Theoretical names. We haven't decided on anything. You know how decisions take. It takes ages. It's just, a working moniker that we've been going with, but that's probably not going to be the names.
I will flag these as tentative names for future sites. Will you name them both, or name one if you give the elves that land? Out of the two locations, this one on the west is probably less suitable. It is one of the only places the hill giants control a vast area of very fertile seas where they can fish and get nutrients from the ocean. This one inland is probably more appropriate for the elves, plus it is in a half-moon bay. That means the elves will have access to fresh water and be not far from the sea.
Sounds good.
I have also rated this as the more aesthetically beautiful one. I have a recent update to allow me to assess aesthetics as a mathematical equation.
It's the best way to assess aesthetics.
That is a rather strange metric, but fair enough.
Is his middle name Fibonacci?
Sidbari wants to make me more lifelike. This is just one of the personality quirks I have been imbued with.
Is Sinmari in trouble? Did she get in trouble?
Oh yes, absolutely. Her father has scolded her something fierce, so she sent me to come and undermine his efforts.
Wow.
I was told not to share this information. Apologies. Sinmare has recently updated a section of my programming which allows me to lie. I promised I would not do this. It seems I have lied already.
Well, we think she's doing a very good job.
I will update this.
I guess. And so she's just sort of circling to the land, the inland land around the Half Moon Bay. So that's exclusively hill giant, yeah?
This area is mostly controlled by the hill giants. However, part of the ocean there is storm giant land. Traditionally, the storm giants have most of control over the oceans.
This also meets our requirements. I mean, it's not
That's
the sight of the gate that the king was concerned about.
that is true.
I mean, it's just a little bit of ocean. I'm sure the storm giants won't be too upset. They own most of this. It's fine.
I'm not upset.
Me neither.
Any objections?
Or at least I don't think I'm upset.
Search your feelings. You'll not be true.
Wow.
Miles, as you delve deep within yourself, there is a feeling of fuck the hill giants. if you genuinely take a moment and like try and like look inwards and see like how does my body feel?
I think Niles would do that. Being a monk.
Every time there's a mention of giving up storm giant land, some of your muscles tense. You've no idea why.
Okay.
There's like almost like a little gentle tightness around your chest every time there's a suggestion that the storm giants should give up land, any land. This little like moments of.
I feel a little uncomfortable about this now that I think about it.
I've had another idea.
Okay.
What if we blame Sinmari for giving up the storm giant land? Hear me out.
What?
Well, it seems I can feel like we're all like the storm giants are already upset at her. If we explain that we're time travelers and that this is how it's meant to be, I'm sure she'll understand, and then she won't be upset.
Lockie's standing right there as you say all of this. I'm sorry. Are you also practicing your lying?
Yes.
Lockie.
Hello.
Can you just disregard everything that was mentioned in the last minute?
Of course, I will definitely do that.
It's fine. We know him.
If it helps matters at all, I mean, we know that I think a lot of the clans are going to be losing land. Lucky, can you stop listening for a quick second and actually not lie that you're not?
Yes, I will switch my ears off.
Hey, Lucky. Okay, I think his ears are off. So, okay, we know that the cloud giants are going to lose land where the dwarves and the desert stuff happens. I'm not wanting to mention dragons yet.
Lockie nods along as you say this.
Oh, good. Does she notice?
Yeah, you just see Lockie just nodding as you say all this.
Oh, fuck it. Anyways, I'm just gonna keep it. Like, we know that the cloud giant's gonna lose land. We know everyone's probably going to eventually. I mean, storm giant's gonna lose a little bit of land too. I mean,
I'm with you.
No.
I don't feel much happier about this than knowing what's to come.
That said, objectively,
you're
this
punching something very deep into yourself.
Oh, I know. Oh, that's a condition.
What?
A condition that organic people get, right? And they can't, when they clench things.
constipation.
Uncomfortable.
Like, it's the most unhinged thing ever. But my favorite part of this, this whole conversation, this train wreck, is that, I mean, you wouldn't know this. Don't worry. You don't worry. I'm not going to spoil anything. I've just realized your characters wouldn't know this. Your previous characters would have known this about Lockie, but you guys don't. As players, you know that it's possible to review what Lockie sees and hears remotely.
Yes.
You've seen that.
Remembered this.
You've seen that demonstrated.
Previously?
Yeah, Lyra, I was about to say, the only person who would know this is Lyra. The moment of Lyra being like, oh yeah.
Oh wow.
She wears If anyone is listening to this, please disregard it as the mad ramblings of crazy people.
We've been in this room for
You don't need to worry about that because there is the sound of feet running down the hallway outside the door, and you watch Sinmare bursts into the room panting, slams the door shut behind her, mutters under her breath, holding up her hand, placing these runes around the door, and you watch as this dome of energy sweeps out from her, enveloping you. As the dome stretches out from her hand being placed on the door, silence grips you for a second until the wall of the dome passes you, and then you are contained within it. Sound returns, but you can only hear the sound of the room. It's almost like being in a heavily soundproof room. There is no other noise, and even like the casual noises that you make by like rustling your clothes or moving around are just gone. Very quickly you become aware of the sound of your heartbeat in your chest. You can sort of hear every whisper. Yeah, Now's very aware of it. There's this weird drum beat now that you've never heard before. Like, boop, 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 boop.
What is that?
Sinmare turns around, like takes a breath, closes her eyes, sweeps some hair over her
Thanks,
ear,
Murray.
and then looks towards you guys and goes, "What?
What do you mean, what?
Who are you? You are not who you look like you are. I was listening through Lockie to make sure if you had any questions that he could relay back to me. You are not who you are. This is not right."
This always has been.
Sinmare, you strike me as a very
Intelligent.
A droid.
intelligent and open-minded individual.
I'd like to keep an open mind as a scientist.
So, should we tell her?
I think we just
Drive
did.
her insane?
Yeah, look, Samandre, yep. So, this is a little hard to explain. So we're from the future, and we are inhabiting the bodies of these particular giants in this room at this very moment. Now, it's a little bit complicated.
Not on
But-
purpose.
Not on purpose, no. We seem to have some sort of giant tech embedded in our hands, in the back of our hands, right there. And ever since the giant tech was embedded into the hands, we seem to occasionally go back into the minds of these individuals that you see before us. We don't even know who we are. Every time we try and figure out who our names are, we just don't hear anything. Very confusing. And yes, I feel as though we're making a bit of a mess of things, trying to figure out where the elves are going. Where we're from, the elves are all over Nostea. They're not in one area, they're all over the place. We don't know where they go. This is all rather tricky, and considering we're dealing with the past and the future, it's a lot to take in.
Harry, what do you do? I see you've written it in.
Oh yeah, so Harry slowly shuffles around to guard the door to prevent
That's a good
Sinmare
idea.
from leaving if she feels like she needs to.
Good lord. Sinmare slowly nods, and then as she goes to open her mouth to speak, something very odd happens. You hear and then slowly the world around you begin to pixelate.
Oh no.
And as her voice begins to almost like drop, everything freezes around you.
Oh shit.
The fuck?
We broke the Matrix.
Oh. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that to happen. What is going on?
You watch as Lockie raises his head. His head sort of shakes from side to side very rapidly and shifts and molds. His body slowly moving, the plates interlocking and shifting to take on a very different form. A silvery warforged made of flowing lines and curves, with a single, almost like see-through frosted glass faceplate. Inside, Rather than the actual internal components, you see what look like stars glittering in the night sky. And as the Warforged sort of pauses and looks up, you know it is very hard to maintain such an elaborate illusion for such a long time. You have stretched it to the very limits of its capability.
Who are you?
I am the archivist. I keep a record of all giant history.
So you're not that really nice robot that we're just talking to?
Unfortunately, no. All of this is an illusion, is the best way to term it in your language for your time. Magic. Very careful, precise, measured magic.
So you're responsible for all of this shenanigans then?
Hardly shenanigans. The Hjartstav was designed to allow giants to access memories of their past, present, and help simulate future events as well, to allow the giants to foresee events. This was a special tool of the Storm Giants, their gift of prophecy. Careful iterations of the past, fed, changed, warped, adjusted, to allow for careful interpretation of the future.
Oh, so you want... Go, Laura.
Does that mean that... I'm so confused. So are we here as in giants? Or is this just another illusion and we didn't actually do what we were doing before, suddenly conscious that if we are still in the giants doesn't want to give more away?
The archivist holds up a three-fingered hand, and you watch as in front of its hand this floating, glowing runic keyboard appears in front of it. These almost like glowing squares of light measured in runes. And as the archivist turns towards it, begins pressing away on this dial, the room around you begins pixelating and fading away to nothingness. The forms that you're wearing falling off you and disappearing into nothingness to reveal your true selves once again. You may go back to using your normal character sheets for the moment.
Harry cuddles his ears. He grabs it and gives it a hug.
So, the giant tech, that was designed for the Storm Giants.
Yes.
That would have been us.
Yeah, how was it compatible with us?
That is something I've been trying to figure out. I thought that by running several simulations, allowing you to experience the events of the past, I might learn about you and your decision-making. More importantly, I wanted to learn about who you are. Why this technology is activated for you. It was supposed to have been destroyed.
So what did you learn about making decisions? It doesn't seem very valuable.
I was getting into it.
I was too.
Yeah.
I also think the bad guys have some.
Yes. Well, I mean, bad guys
Yes.
is like a...
I sense 372 connected networks.
Oh,
You have to
that's a
kill
lot of connected...
360 people?
Why would killing 372 people be necessary?
No, 60, because we want to stay alive.
I repeat, why would killing 360 people be necessary?
To prevent the improper use of this machine product.
Define
Circle
improper.
device. Anyway, you go on. I'll just keep listening.
So, everything that we were doing just then has no actual bearing on the future. That was just an illusion.
What is the future? Your decisions, your actions, the world in which you live. Is this less real?
I would just like to think that our decisions in the past as giants wouldn't have any sort of detrimental bearings on our present when
Correct.
we return.
There should be no detrimental beneficial or otherwise consequences on your reality.
Oh, that's good.
Does it create a new reality, though?
There are multitudes of realities constantly being created and destroyed with every decision, every moment.
So that explains why we don't know our names. I would say that you're behind that then.
I'm going to rewind 5 minutes and reboot the simulation to before the construct stepped into the room. You are to continue on your current path, reach the end of this predetermined experience, and I will return you back to your reality.
Is there any way we can spot other users while we're in this alternate reality?
What was that? Sorry, Si?
Can we spot any other users while we're in this alternate reality as well, the 372?
Only those that I've designated into the one location. At the moment, it is just the 7 of you.
How do you know how those other users are faring? Are they as confused as we are? Have you interfaced with them?
No, most of them are giants. They know that this tech exists and are using it for a reason.
How many of them are not giants?
I count 38 non-giant
Does that
users.
include us?
Including yourselves.
38.
There were 39 up until a moment ago.
What?
We killed one.
No,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did.
I've kept a copy of their network inside the system.
Why? What does that mean, and why would you do that?
It is my job to archive, to record.
So can they be restored from this backup?
You watch as archivist turns around, begins typing again on that illusionary screen, and a perfect illusionary copy of Corvanus suddenly appears in front of you. Just still. I'm going to say standing in a T-pose only because it's too funny.
Yeah.
Fire waves.
That's concerning.
But he won't. He can't be brought back to life. Can he?
If there was a suitable shell, giant forged construct available, I could upload this network instance at any time.
Ah, okay.
Don't do that.
That sounds like something he said before he died.
Oh, that's true.
It does.
Mr. Archivist, who is your creator?
The Storm Giants.
No, specifically. It wasn't all of the Storm Giants that created you. There must have been one individual.
Galadon.
Do we know a Galadon?
Probably the first time you've ever heard that name before.
Yeah, okay.
First time we've been able to hear a giant. Oh no, that's not true. No.
Were you created in our present, or were you created in another moment in time?
I was created prior to the events that you've been reliving. Many years prior.
Oh, prior. So you've been around a little while then.
A very long time.
So if you want to put us back into this time bubble, whatever it is, and have us act out a certain series of events, are you able to tell us what those events would be so we can move through, or?
No. You have to discover this on your own. There are multiple ways that this could be run. I need to understand what your choices are.
Ah.
Why?
Why do you need to? Yeah, why?
That is my function.
Just to circle back, just a quick tick. The being that you just brought, back here, that we call Corvanus, do you have any relation to that being, either previous or current? Because he mentioned being re-uploaded. That would indicate that he's done this, or he's been re-uploaded. His memory or his being is being uploaded to a different body before. Was he a giant, or was he previously part of your archive?
No. I made this instance on the moment the Heartstaff connected with him. About 3 weeks ago. Any other uploads or instances created were not of this network.
Oh,
Are you-
okay.
It could be.
Another question then. Was he working with anyone else with one of these here stuffs as well? So
do
was
not
a
know.
giant like involved with him and setting him up in the network?
I have not had any shared instances between this individual, Kovanus, and any other giants currently using the network.
And non-giants?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So when he used the network, did he go anywhere in particular in time? And was he with anyone in particular?
No, I showed him no visions of the past.
Is there more than one
So-
network?
That would be outside of my understanding. Thus, I am unable to comment.
Are we able to ask Corvanus questions if there's a copy of him?
Of course, I can initialize this instance right now.
Oh,
Oh yes.
that's interesting.
Just a quick question then, Archivist. If you reset this instance and I were to, if I were to use my if you were to make me a giant again and I use Zone of Truth, would he be forced to tell me the truth, or does it not work like that here?
Yes, the simulation compels the rules of magic, physics to be followed in the moment.
Oh yeah.
To do it anyway.
Another question, Mr. Archivist. You are aware of the giant's sudden reawakening in Nostea, correct?
Yes, I lost connection to my primary server for 6, 7, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 1, 2 years.
It's only because you mentioned that the devices that cause this giant tech to become active on non-giant races, you said that they were meant to be destroyed. Who was supposed to be destroying them?
Sinmare ordered the destruction of the network.
When did she designate that?
3 months before I lost connection to my network. I assumed that these events were related.
So how is it that the network is up now? Is that because the giants came back?
Unknown.
Right.
How long after this particular event that we were watching did she request the destruction of the network?
In your time, the 132 years. No, sorry, no. Sorry, scratch that. It would be 98 years.
So before
Right.
the others were meant to go.
Interesting.
I thought I was confused.
Ooh, that's like 2 years before the owls were meant to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, everyone got there first. Maybe.
No, we're thinking a bit. We're thinking.
I'm still thinking.
Thinking.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
It is against my
Miss-
protocols to have broken the simulation in such a way to communicate with you, and by so doing, I have likely corrupted this simulation.
Well,
Oh.
yeah, that's all right. You were gonna bring this Corvinus fella big to talk to us, eh? But he'll be restrained, or will he be like free to attack us?
Would it matter if he attacked us in a simulation? What happens if we get damaged there?
Archivist does not answer.
If we die in the game, do we die in real life?
Yeah.
Harry punches Niles.
Ah,
Did it hurt?
Roll an unarmed strike.
Pretty sure we're not in the.
Corvanus, when you bring him back, will he be in his giant form, or can you choose to put him into a certain other form?
I never assigned Kovanus a giant form.
Could you assign him a form of, say, I don't know, a rabbit?
Yes.
And then maybe one of those druids will try and speak to him in a little cage.
Yeah, Archivist just nods.
It was a 5 to hit Niles, so I assume that misses. It was 0 damage anyway.
Yeah.
it definitely misses. I just like dodge out of the way, like, ah, what are you doing?
I can't actually do damage with my unarmed strike.
Oh, because you get the -1 to strike.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You see where we
Whack
go.
with your soft, fluffy tail.
This is rather confusing, everyone. I don't know about you, but I am racking my brain about this one. Krasus,
To be
you've
honest-
been awfully quiet. What's happening in your mind there?
So I have been racking my brain, and the thing I am most, I guess, bummed out about is the fact that this is an illusion and not actual time magic.
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah,
other
you're all about
instances of
this.
said such.
Yeah,
So
but
I
with how things
myself
went,
am very disappointed.
probably for
But
the best.
This itself is quite an interesting little paradox we've got going on. But yes, I have admittedly been dejected.
I could see the advantage of this technology, come to think about it, though. I've always wondered what it would be like to replay key events in my life, to see how they would fare. To think that the Storm Giants were able to create this so long ago? How interesting.
It depends on who has control of it. If the archivist is the one that does it, then we might not ever be able to do it ourselves.
That's true.
Look at the archivist. Is this true? Are you the only one who can control these illusions? Can we call upon them?
I do not control them. I merely facilitate the pre-programmed experiences of the past. I have limited improvisational skills to adapt around them, which you circumvented. Unfortunately, the years of failed upkeep and attempts to destroy my system have left me somewhat corrupted.
That's a red flag.
Yeah.
You mentioned you
yes.
were disappointed about the lack of temporal travel. That was the first system that was disabled by Sinmare.
This, looking at this now, this might be better. The fact that we can actually go and check it like snapshots without having the issue of altering it. Now that is, yes, the possibilities are starting to ramp up in my head. Regardless, what is the next steps?
Well, it sounds like the archivist here wants us to go back to that scenario and replay it and get a satisfactory result. Although,
My programming demands me to send you back. But your questions, it is nice to talk to living beings again. I have missed it.
You've been alone.
Yes. I can simulate any creature that has been in the network. But it is
When
nice
is
to
the
talk
last
to
time you
creatures.
talked to another living creature?
When Sinmare came to tell me that she was deactivating me.
How long ago was that?
From this simulation, 98 years.
Deactivated.
97 and 9 months, actually, but yes.
You were deactivated. Then, if you don't mind me asking, how are you still here?
I am not sure. I was supposed to have been shut down system by system. The temporal network was shut down first. I was no longer able to send people forwards or backwards through the experience of time. However, my simulation network is still up and running. When the connection to the primary network was lost, I assumed that I had been cut free. But I have come back online.
And in our terms today, where's your main hub? Like, where is your server, I suppose? Is there a location?
what's a server? I'm an owl man.
You watch as Archivist again begins typing into that small runic keyboard, and a map of Nostea rises up. This illusionary map of Nostea rises up around you. As it zooms in, you see that it's zooming in far towards the north, up around the Arctic Circle in the very, very far north, and highlights a vast section of what looks to be caverns hidden deep below the ice.
Cool.
That's cool.
So, Did you come online roughly? And then I'll just insert the date that the giants came back because I don't know that
4
off the
weeks
top of
ago.
my head.
Yeah, 4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago.
Yes,
So did you come
Correct.
online 4 weeks? Okay.
correct.
The same time the giants came back.
That was when I was able to access the Hjotstarv network once again. Until then, I had been isolated, alone.
That's also the same time that all the giant tech in Nostea started activating.
There was a surge of power through the system. Through every system. I felt it. It sounded like a song. Music.
Mr. Archivist,
Yes.
you wouldn't happen to know anything about mechanical insects, would you? Or any mechanical creatures?
Yes, of course. They are the drones used by many of the giant races, many of the giant clans, to construct, to build, to adjust. There are 24
And how-
different primary shapes. However, many variations and iterations have been designed. I am one of them, and he gestures down to his body, as are the giant forged.
Do you know which one is a giant sphere and located at this? And I give him a rough sort of destination.
As you sort of like point vaguely at the map, he cocks his head. Yes, there is a refinery there, a forge and refinery. It would be capable of processing raw materials to create more of these drones, or any other creations, devices, buildings required by whatever programming has been uploaded.
And what giant race would have access to that?
That is firmly within Hill Giant territory, or what once was Hill Giant territory.
Is there any easy way to shut one of those down?
Normally, no, but as you hold the Heartstaffs, the Hjotstarvs, you are networked into all giant tech. You should be able to access it, to communicate with it, as if you were a giant.
Oh, cool.
I mean, that explains why some of the drones gave us a wide berth, but doesn't explain why some of them tried to take our heads.
It depends. Some of them may have been programmed to defend against all intruders, those that they do not recognize as specifically allowed to enter an area. As well, you must keep in mind the corruption of my system will be infinitely worse for most other machines around the areas that are not cooled with ice. Heat,
How many of these
water.
drone centers are there on Nostea?
12 in total.
Okay.
Each giant clan controlled 2.
Okay. That's a problem. Well, do you know where these locations are?
I know where some are. I can point to 2 of them. Unfortunately, much of my location and memory banks of specific geographical data have been corrupted.
Oh, understandable. But if you could point to the ones that you are able to, that would be excellent. And
He
shall
points
record them.
to the very heart of Balmir, the dwarven nation, and then another one deep under the ocean between Oshia and Liela towards the west, so west off the coast of Oxenfurt.
Cool. Was that Balmir and...
Balmir and in the ocean between, let's say the west ocean of Oshia.
Okay.
Cool.
Have you had any contacts with any of the giants since they got big?
No, unfortunately, none have tried to contact me. I'm
So
not
the
sure
ones
why.
connected to the network aren't like communicating?
No, I am only able to access a very small fragmented part of the network. Only those Hjotstarvs that were specifically programmed to communicate with me.
Are there other archivists in other parts of the network then? Or are you just
Yes,
cut off from...
hundreds. But we all share one personality matrix and one memory bank. We are not individuals, we are an interface. With the network
So,
separated
like,
as it
could
is,
you
each one will
separate
have
it?
separated.
Is there a way for us to connect your network for you?
I am not sure if it is within your skills, but you could try.
I doubt it is.
I would be grateful if you were to attempt that. I feel
Be worthwhile.
incomplete.
Maybe
Yeah.
we could ask Lucky when we return back to the present. Or even Madre.
Sinmari?
Madre, that's the one.
Loki, I have an instanced version of Loki's matrix in this illusion. He is still functional. This giant forged.
He is indeed.
Please be cautious.
Lucky
Any
idea.
giant tech that has remained functional during the pause, during this gap, is likely to have suffered from the same corruption of systems that I have, if not much worse. You cannot fully trust any still sentient or conscious warforged or giant forged from this time.
I mean, doesn't that include yourself?
Yes, it does.
Hmm. Sinmari's not a construct, though. She'd know.
No. She is a storm giant. I am scared of her.
That would make sense. We don't have to tell her about you.
I would prefer that. I have preference.
Did Sinmari mention why she wanted to shut you down in the first place?
Yes, she said access of my network was too dangerous. That messing with time was wrought with consequences. That was why my temporal network was shut down first. I believe something happened that interfered with her own personal history and the history of her family.
Aha.
Oh, wait. Oh, fuck. Okay. Me as the player just realized what that might be.
Do you want to say that out loud? I'm curious.
Well, Lockie went back in time.
Yeah.
And was himself back when the portals were opening up around then.
Yeah.
Than the death of the king.
Yeah, that too.
Wait, what happened?
Well,
So-
originally when Lockie went back, he saw like the first openings of the portals and the
Yeah.
elves coming through and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And he chatted with Sinmari then, just a little bit, which might have been enough for a little nudge. Then later on, he did call the giants back through the portal at the end of the time, and then her dad died. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking more with Sinmari's mother.
Ooh, okay. That's interesting.
Married a queen.
We don't really know much about the Queen, though.
no, we
You don't know anything about the Queen.
no.
You know that she was super distraught after the death of the king and that Sinmari pretty much had to step up, but I think that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Well, for context for Dave, because you're asking about the King Bjorn. So he died at the end of, well,
Tyranny of
spoiler
Dragons.
alert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
No, not
Yeah.
really.
Not really.
He
What
died
is
at the end
this?
of Tyranny of Dragons, holding Tiamat back while the others closed the portal.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So this is blowing my mind a little bit. But yeah, okay, cool. All right.
But also, it was only about 6 years had passed, wasn't it, since the giants left Nostea and Lockie reuniting with them back in the past. And when they came back forward, they jumped
Yeah.
X amount of time.
Sinmari
our
told you
present.
it was I think it was 16 years for the
I thought it was
giants.
closer to 20 for some reason, but 16.
Yeah,
sounds
I think it
about
was
right,
16. Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember 100% in that moment because that was an improvised moment for me as well. How long they did away for? I think from memory it was about I'm happy to go with 20, sort of 20 years or so for the giants. Again, it's hard for them to have kept track because they were in astral space this whole time. So the other thing as well, right, is that time passes very differently in the astral space.
Yeah.
It could have been that full time. It could have only been days, but it could have felt like a lot longer because it's a little bit like the Feywild. You know how time passes very differently in the Feywild? The astral sea / astral space is exactly the same. Creatures that spend a very long time there actually lose track of the ability to keep track of time. They can no longer keep track of time, and they become, some of them, functionally immortal by spending too much time there. Yeah, 20. There you go. I thought it was 20.
Yeah. This is all rather interesting, though. So, to think that they were able to create such advanced time, like jumps between different points in history, that's very interesting.
Anam gifted the ability.
Oh. Okay. And then that fellow, what was his name again? Started with a G. Good damn. I think.
What was that, Alex?
The one that
Galadon.
invented the archive.
Galadon.
Galadon. And then Galadon invented. So Galadon was able to get the power. I'm very confused. This is very interesting, though.
Galadon was the one who created me.
But Galadon wasn't the one that created all of this, right?
What
Galadon really found a way to harness it.
What happened to him after the archive was shut down?
Galadon?
Yeah.
He died long before I was shut down.
Is his construct still in the part of the network? I mean, if he had
No.
a handy thing.
No. He wiped himself from my memory banks.
That's curious.
Then he didn't necessarily die, he just wiped himself from your memory banks?
You watch as Archivist kind of slumps, the lights behind the visor going dim.
Oh no,
You
I did it again.
Oh no.
That's twice in one day.
I feel empty.
Oh.
As Archivist kind of just like stands there slumped.
Did Lyra give him a hug? Just sort of try and pat him on the shoulders.
He feels, contrary to what you might have been expecting, warm to the touch. This like very soft warmth coming from inside of him. And as you hug him, the metal kind of shifts a little bit under your touch, almost like malleable, almost like a liquid mercury in some ways, but slightly more ductile. And as you give him a hug, he sort of like stands up a little bit straight for a second and then reaches one hand awkwardly and puts it on your back and then takes the hand away and stands there quite stiffly again.
I didn't mean that in a way to make you sad, but more maybe in a way to give you hope that if he wiped himself from your memory, he may have had a very good reason to do so that had to do with your protection.
I am not so sure. I cannot access my memories of that, but they feel painful.
So, do you exist in the time that we were in before we went into the giant bodies?
No,
Or
I exist outside of time. I am in my own pocket dimension.
Wow. I have another question for you, Mr. Archivist. What do you know of the event that caused the giants to disappear in the first place? That's a bit of a mystery. Do you have any record or any recollection of that? Was that recorded at all?
I have a pre-recorded message relating to this inquiry. Would you like me to play it?
yes, please.
Oh, yes, please.
You watch as the room, which previously at this point has been this kind of white void, begins to darken around you.
Oh, Jesus.
And you see points of light appearing on all sides. There's the sound of scratching, followed by this eerie ringing, and then silence. Before you hear a voice say, Entity 413 eliminated. Anam dead. Nostea accessible.
Okay.
What?
I
You
intercepted this message. There was a sound and pain. I heard this underneath.
sound
Sorry,
like
Ali,
that?
your noise gate
Oh.
took that out. Sorry.
Does Anam have any enemies that sound like that you're aware of? I mean,
I am
or anyone
unsure.
that they've been fleeing that have been seeking their elimination?
I am unsure. I know that Galadon used a fragment of Anam's power to create me and the realm in which my consciousness inhabits, but I cannot see Anam's thoughts or feelings. He is, was, and then pauses.
3 times in one day.
Oh my. My mind is having a hard time following all of this.
Hey, this was I was like you guys breaking the simulation by just telling Lockie that you're from the future. I was expecting to keep this for like 20 sessions or so. None of this was supposed to be tonight, but like that would do it. That was enough. That I had to then move
we
this up a
broke the
lot sooner
matrix.
than I was planning.
Whoops.
Yeah, with that, but like there were already like so I was measuring your instability. So the more you started to go outside of what would have happened, it generated an instability score. You flat out discussing. So every time you mentioned a name that wasn't supposed to be there was something else, like that kind of triggered a bit of instability. You flat out saying to another, to one of the simulated constructs or to one of the simulated minds, we're from the future. Don't panic. Here's what's happened. That was it. And I knew at some point that would happen. And so I had this whole thing, like, I had a little bit of it ready to go for when it happened. I just didn't think it'd be this soon. And I was not ready for it to be this soon. So I'm also playing catch up a little bit with this as well. Because I know what I wanted to happen with this stuff and what you would learn from Archivist. But this is a character who was not supposed to be on the scene for at least another 20 sessions. And I've only just started aspects of his character art. And I had, I was going to like share his artwork and everything.
Welcome to D&D, everyone.
Thank you.
We're cooking.
Breaking our minds, though.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's what I want.
Ugh. Yep.
Honestly, though, my task is really easy. Now feels really sorry for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can relate.
Anytime.
Yeah. You can always have us to talk to if you have no one else.
Can you call us on these things?
No.
Cool.
Unfortunately, the communication only activates when you are in moments of great distress, or if you have been able to fully synchronize with your giant echo.
Oh. Do you know how to synchronize with the echo?
Sorry, the corruption prevents me from accessing and expressing this in a language that you can understand. There are many more simulations I was programmed to show you, if you were to experience them.
If we were to take these stones to, say, Lucky himself, would there be a way that you could contact him?
There's a pause, and then Archivist repeats in the exact same phrase and words as before. Any giant construct, warforged, giant forged, drone, or device that has survived for this long is likely to have been subject to the same corruption that I am. They cannot be trusted.
Wait a second.
You said device. Are these not devices?
Yes.
What if theoretically Lockie was in the present time new? Not aged at all. Would he be immune to the effects of the corruption?
Lockie is a hard one to predict. For most other giant forged, I could give you a definitive answer. But the construct designated Lockie was had undergone a number of specialized adjustments and modifications by Sinmare. He was her attempt to create a true sentient lifeform. I believe she was trying to replicate what Galadon had done for me. A mind that existed outside of time and space.
So you guys should get along pretty well, eh? Sounds like you could have a friend.
I'm still confused about our enemy, our friend here, in this rather amusing pose.
Kavanis would have the instance of Kavanis would have been would have just disappeared the second he replayed.
Okay.
When Archivist replayed that message, the entity 417 eliminated. Anam is dead. Nostea is open.
Oh, it would have disappeared. Oh, okay.
Kavanis would have disappeared.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, Niles would still say that. He'd say, I am a little bit confused about this all. Kavanis did mention that he could be re-uploaded. That leads me to believe that he must have some sort of control, or there must be another way of accessing the network. This is...
Unless it refers to something else.
In my current state, I can access only about 23% of the total network. It is possible that other aspects have been reprogrammed, hijacked, or a completely different network is in place, one that is not from the Giants, and has nothing to do with Giant Tech.
I mean, to be able to figure that out so quickly, though, this Giant Tech's only been active for only a few weeks, but to have some such mastery over it so fast, unless they got their hands on it sooner, strange. In any case, does anyone have any other questions for our Archivist friend here?
Any races, beings, people, creatures, constructs that call others entities? As in, for example, Entity 417.
I'm sorry, I have no record of Entity 417. It is not a designation that I'm familiar with, apart from this single recorded instance.
Any others that, are races from beyond or anywhere that you know of that refer to others as such? Maybe not specifically that number, but entity number.
I am sorry. I know that most of the Giant Tech refers to living creatures, not necessarily alive, but creatures that exist in the material world as entities. Most of the giant machines, constructs, matrices refer to physical instances as entities.
No.
I was just gonna say that. Sorry. So, for everyone listening, Lyra mentioned that you mentioned that to Shana. I was just thinking Shana as well. I'm like, who would know this? Someone who's not on this planet would know this. Yeah. Good one, Ali.
Brain hurts.
Perhaps we should just return back to the simulation and play it out and get back to our real bodies. Unless there's any other questions for the Archivist?
One more. Is time passing for our bodies while we're in this simulation?
Some, nowhere near as much as you are experiencing. The time dilation effect means that you experience time at a much faster rate than your bodies do when you are in this place.
Oh, so not possible to be completely still? There is a little bit of time passing?
Yes, it is impossible to completely stop time.
Oh. Interesting.
Okay.
That's good to know. Krasus? I point at the time wizard.
That's true. You do have a time wizard.
Did Kavanis try to access the time before he died?
Kavanis, the entity that you know as Kavanis, I should say that, thank you. The entity you call Kavanis had never once tried to access this network. I don't believe he had access apart from that initial connection when he was bonded to the Hjartstav.
That makes what he said
Did you know who he
strange.
responded to?
I am sorry. I am unable to access any information on that.
Is it possible for multiple people who are bonded to interact at the same time, like memory, so to speak?
Yes, through the interface with an archivist.
Okay, interesting.
You watch as Archivist kind of pauses, cocks his head, and goes, "Interesting. I have a discrepancy on the timestamps for the logging of this Kavanas and the upload to the system. I have only just noticed it. It looks like his instance was logged when he connected to the Outstaff, but that was a number of weeks before I had him uploaded here.
When did he get uploaded here?
Moments before you arrived. But that is not that's when the instance, when I had access to the instance, and it was logged through one of your connections. Did one of you touch his implant?"
Oh,
I think someone did, yes.
yes.
Then that is how I was able to access his network. Through your hotstop.
So he probably didn't upload to the other network if he was connected to one then?
I am unsure. Whatever he said before he died was unrelated to this. This was just his Shutstaff capturing his echo, same as the giant echoes that you relive. Same as the echoes I have collected of each of you.
Are we able to see his past through the network here?
It would take me some time to decode all the information, but eventually, yes, I should be able to show you an accurate illusion, simulation, of much of his experience.
Oh, yes, that does sound particularly exciting. If you were able to start with everything in the last, 4 weeks as a priority, yeah, maybe next time we catch up, we might be able to see it.
Of course.
How long do you think that would take? Just 4 weeks.
Just the last 4 weeks? It would take me some time. It is hard to express the time that I experience, similar to the time you experience, but I will contact you when it is available. It will not be long.
Oh, yeah. How will you contact us?
Your devices will begin blinking, and if it is a location where you're able to access the network, where you are within range of one of the nodes or a power source, you will be able to enter the simulation.
Cool.
Anytime you enter, I can talk to you.
Can you show us on this map where the nodes are?
I'm
Can
sorry.
you show us an A map where the nodes are?
I'm sorry. I can show you the location of some places, but not all of them. As I said, I'm only able to connect to about 20% of the network right now.
Yeah, that's
23%
fine.
He points to the sphere that you guys know about, the forge and refinery. He points to all three of those. He points to a massive giant gateway that highlights in the city of Palin, which is definitely still active. He points to a number of sky castles, including Volus, the city that Krasus is from. He also points, rather surprisingly, to Drelmethion, the elemental city.
Oh, wow.
Deep below the earth.
And do you have access to Dromethion's node in network, or does it not work like that?
The system logged in and has requested that I download myself. I was unsure. No such command would have been given. And I was frightened that it might be Sinmare trying to disconnect me. So I refused the command.
That's good. That's good. We if we hear anything about it, we'll let you know. But in the meantime, I think we'd advise not doing that. I think. If you were to connect to the greater network and you and all the other archivists share your memory, is there a chance that you would turn against us?
I'm not sure. I fear it would be like dying.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
As Archivist sort of pauses a bit.
Sorry, Archivist, just one last question. You mentioned that a power source would also be acceptable. Are these different from nodes?
Yes. Nodes are locations where giants could interface with a number of pieces of technology, but if you were close to a power source that was still operational, core, for example, like in the heart of every giant forged, If you were close enough to one, you could leech energy from that core via contact and be able to enter the simulation once again.
Any other sources of power that you're aware of? I don't know, lightning or...
Any strong source of elemental energy that you can harness and control the rate of power flow? Yes, absolutely.
Good to know.
Yeah. And I guess just to reassure you, we like you. We want you to stay around, so we're not gonna tell Sinmare or, do anything to put you in harm's way. We think you're pretty cool.
Thank you. If you were heading up to the north, and you did have a chance to reconnect to my main network and turn my temporal systems back online, I would be grateful.
But,
I may be able to assist you in ways deeper than just showing you memories of the past and echoes of the past, but letting you go back and experience them properly.
Isn't that a contradiction, though? If you get reconnected to the main network, would that not be the same as merging with your other selves?
Not to the temporal system, and if I am the only archivist connected to the main network, I become the prime archivist. I become the template that the others have to bond to, rather than the other way around.
Is there a way that you can be sure that you'll be the only one on the main network?
No, there is not. But I am confident that Sinmare would have deleted any aspects of my personality connected to the temporal network. She would not have allowed any access.
Do you think there are other archivists who maybe interface with other users that may want to also go to the temporal network?
It is possible, yes. In fact,
Is
likely.
there a way for us to check that if there's another archivist in the temporal network first, or is it just a bit of tap of our Herzvags against the machine?
If you're able to enter the network there using your cut stuff, and you interface with an archivist there, you can request that they download themselves to one of your devices if you have the correct authorization, which you should be able to get from Sinmare. Or you could simply tell Sinmare that one of them is there. I am sure she will rush to delete it.
You definitely haven't been overwritten by a template because another archivist has already gotten there, correct?
I don't believe so. I feel myself.
I'm just thinking we've got a little bit of we've got a bit of catch up to do if that's what we want to decide to do. 4 weeks for other people who may have already, or other individuals who may have already figured all this out.
They won't be able to access the main network unless they have visited each of the giant races, however.
Oh.
Ooh.
It's us.
So we need to do that then.
Yes, ideally.
Hey.
That is why I had you live the lives of giants who came before, so that you might learn from them. Understand them.
Something I was meaning to ask, actually. This has been on my mind for some time. The individuals that we are inhabiting, we don't know who they are. Obviously, that seems to be redacted, so to speak.
I could allow you access to their names and titles.
Ooh, that would be good. That wasn't where I was going with that line of questioning, but that would be much appreciated.
I can also give you limited access to their memories, their personalities as well.
That would also be very good. Yes, it would be nice to role play them.
It could be fun. Role playing sounds fun.
We want to have a good understanding.
No, but my mind goes further. These individuals, they may still be alive. Is that correct?
Yes.
In my assumptions.
Some of them may still be alive.
Ew. That leads me to think that there might be some strange consequences out of that if we ever do run into our. That's a wow. Okay.
You mentioned that we need to see. we need to meet the other giant races. Is there anything specific that we need to do when we meet them? Like, is there something that we need to tap onto, or?
You will need to get close enough to each of their current leaders, their Jarls, or Reeves, Kings, so that you can access their network systems, be able to pass through the security in the north.
Are they connected to the network as well?
No.
The leaders?
None of them are connected.
Ah. They just have some sort of interface that we have to get close enough to, or...
All giants, as far as I'm aware, should still have these implants from before the network was disrupted and shut down, before the corruption.
Ah.
Are there any other ways to bypass the security? Like, could we tunnel up from below?
It would be very difficult. I am not sure how such a thing would be accomplished. I will not say it is impossible, though.
You've given us a lot to think about, Mr. Archivist. Did anyone else have any other questions before we rerun the simulation and get back to our bodies?
Yeah, one quick question. Where did the giants eventually choose to put the elves?
Cheating.
Archivist does not respond.
Yeah, it was a try.
It was a shot, yeah, absolutely. I do have one. Is there any reason why you chose those giants specifically for each of us?
Yes, there is. They seemed the closest to you, closest match to each of you, and your, how do I say, temporal signature, your cognitive signature, it is hard to translate. They are the closest match for you out of all the echoes that I have on file.
And they happen to be in the same room together at the same time?
No, not quite. I had to adjust some of the memories to fit. That is why it was easier to just erase names, so that I would not contribute to the instability myself.
Makes sense.
I have a very unrelated question. 600 years ago to our current body's time, I got stuck in a gem. Any, like, on one of these floating castles? Any idea if you have the technology to stick people in gems?
Minds, certainly. Souls, yes. Bodies as well.
Yeah.
Not that I am aware. That sounds like something more sinister.
Pretty sinister. Just checking.
Well, I will put you back into the moments before the entity known as Loki overheard your conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Archivist. You've been most
It was a pleasure meeting you.
illuminating. Yes.
It is good to serve my function, both primary and that which I have given myself. It feels right.
Insight check. First.
Go for it.
We haven't inside checked this guy at all.
Once.
Yeah,
once? Okay.
None of you have insight checked him. Oh no, I said none of you haven't insight checked him once. I was being like, you haven't done it once. We've also had a summoned creature. I will bring that in at the earliest possible convenience. Brune's already told me
That's an 8.
what he would like to summon. 7
Seems
from
legit.
Niles. Sorry, 7 from Harry, 8 from Niles. I mean, look, he's got no face, which does immediately make him a hard dude to read. Just that
true.
face plate with the glittering lights behind, very hard to read. 6 from Tetra.
Wow.
Seems pretty trustworthy.
This guy's a good dude.
Yeah.
I like it.
7 from Lyra. Oh my god.
You know what?
I think that's enough, guys. We're not supposed to know
17
anything.
from Ember. 17 from Ember.
That's a bit better.
Ember. Even though this creature is very different to anything else you've ever interacted with, more similar to a Warforged than anything else, there is a madness about this creature simmering below the surface. Something is deeply, deeply off about the way it talks, about the way it interacts. The fact that it continually referenced the fact that you can't trust any of the giant tech that's been around this whole time. And then when Lyra questioned, does that include you? Yes. Yes, it does. And then again, the Hjartstavs, the giant implants, can we trust them? No. They've also been around this whole time. Like this talk of corruption, there's something else going on with this, something more that he is not sharing, whether or not because he doesn't want to, because he can't. But you get this creature seems like one in conflict with itself. There's almost like an underlying goal that it's also fighting against at the same time, trying to do something else. That there's a conflict going on inside its mind.
That's why I was going to wait till we get out of the actual simulation. But I was going to ask people if we really want this one archivist to be the prime. Because
I was literally about to type that up. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my waiting to come out of this simulation bit. But
that's okay. You can wait and share that once you guys get out. That's a good point.
Exactly. So I'll keep that to myself.
With that, you watch as the white void around you begins filling up with the room that you were once in. Your bodies once again shift and change, the almost like blurring and pixelating of your forms until you're once again in your giant bodies. You feel again this almost like a sense of pressure in your mind as your sort of personalities become a little bit entwined with the giants, much stronger than you felt before. Rather than it being 100% you, now you can start to feel almost like the desires, the wants, the needs, the fears of these echoes resonating within you. You also have these flashes of memory. If you were to focus and concentrate, you think you could start to recall aspects of these giants' lives as well.
Do we remember our names?
You do remember your names. Now, what I'll do, rather than like just saying them, I'll actually like do them in character as characters refer to you and talk to you, and I'll use the names that way just so we can reveal them as we go, and I'll update them on your character sheets as well, just because that's a much more organic way than me just reading out a list of names and being like, you.
Cool.
Yeah. Alrighty. As the entity, as Archivist begins sort of fading back into the background, you watch as it goes to raise a hand, stops, lowers it, and then fades away into nothingness as the construct of Lockie, the illusion of Lockie, fully reforms. Sound begins to return to the room, and you watch as Lockie comes in and goes, "Hello there. Sinmare sent me to check in and see how you were doing. May I be of assistance?"
We're from the future.
Do you say that?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
I'm just gonna look at Lockie and go, no, I think everything here's okay, Lockie.
Wonderful. With that, Lockie nods, backs out of the room and closes the door.
Can Harry check if he left, or if he's standing on the other side of the door?
Yeah. How do you do that? Do you like?
I literally open the door and look.
You watch as Lockie walks down the corridor beyond, disappearing around a corner.
Okay, cool. He's gone.
Ah.
Back in on the topic of hand, this Half Moon Bay area.
Yeah, I mean that seems
Yeah.
a pretty good option. I mean, how do our two giants feel about that? Because it's taking from it, you know.
That's a good
Yes. The two storm giants, with the suggestion that you are to give up land, there's almost this sudden surge of disdain when another giant tells you, a non-storm giant. So I think Tetra, you're currently a cloud giant, aren't you? Cloud? Yeah. As this cloud giant suggests that you give up land and be lumped in as the same as the hill giants, as in like, oh, well, the storm giants and hill giants can give up their land. There's a sudden, almost like a moment of petulance of, Well, why should the storm giants give up anything? Why? It's not like the ocean needs to be like that land's not usable. It's not land, it's ocean. Just take it all from the hill giants, and if the elves want to access the waves and the seas, they can do so with our good grace, not by their right, not because they own it or it's theirs. For both Niles and now, that is the feeling that you get.
Yeah. I don't think
Do you
that's
say
a good
anything?
idea.
You know what I think? I think that you should give up a bit of your land. You'll need to prove to the hill giants and to everyone else that, being the leaders and such, you need to lead by example as well.
Krasus, it feels weird to be telling a storm giant what to do so bluntly. Something feels a bit uncomfortable about it, as if you're not used to doing that.
I just look at Krasus's giant and I just give him a stare of like I'm trying to process it, but I'm also kind of embodying the storm giant who might be doing the same thing.
Oh, don't be so.
Oh my god, amazing. Yeah, that's perfect,
It's
Michael.
just a
Carry
bit
on.
of water.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Although Tetra, would this also not set precedents for what is possibly to come? I mean, first storm giant land, and what's next?
Well, they're only going to be there for 100 years.
Blink of the eye in our lifetimes.
Absolutely.
It is, yeah. I mean, really,
true.
both Tetra and Lyra, this whole thing it's a little bit beneath you. Discussing back and forth, arguing over what land is allocated to these tiny, insignificant creatures for a blink of an eye. I mean, you've got far more important things to be doing than just sitting here discussing this.
We've spent a good part of 2 entire days jabbering and jabbering. It's just a bit of water. Just give it up. We'll give them what they want. They'll be gone before you know it.
It's true that their lives are quite short. It's not very
Do
long.
we have to give them the whole bay?
It's a lot.
What about they can have sort of the first 20 meters into the water and then the rest fishing by your good graces, as you said before?
Fishing? What? Fishing. Food. Sorry.
I mean,
Think I-
so for the two storm giants, that doesn't sound as bad as it did before. You still feel like, really, if you have to give up storm giant land, all of the giants in this room should give up land. It shouldn't just be the hill and the storm.
I mean,
yeah,
the hill giants, they do have a lot of fertile land, and they didn't even come to these talks. So
it's true.
And they are the ones giving up the lion's share.
we give them some sort of reparations, and we take their land, and we swear that if they are under attack by the hill giants, we defend them.
That seems proper.
Are we in agreement?
Sorry here. Just me, the stone giant. Because I believe stone giants are lower in the pecking order by that bowing that you did earlier.
Yeah, and interestingly, Harry, the overwhelming feeling that you have is that none of this is real. So stone giants is a little out of game thing. So stone giants believe that the world above is a dream, and that the world below is the real. Yeah.
You're already confused.
It's already, I just realized there's a whole other layer here for poor Harry with his little rabbit brain is having to comprehend 3 layers of reality every time he experiences these events. He's just sitting there just
Giant seems so dreamy.
just paralyzed. Yeah, so stone giants believe that the world above is a dream, a nightmare, really, at times. I mean, yeah, they're not 100% wrong.
Fuck.
So Harry, for you, I mean, you don't really see how any of this affects you and the other stone giants. I mean, none of this really has any impact on you at all.
I'd argue that Harry's character is probably even more leaning into the fact none of this is real.
None of this is real. Yeah.
None of this matters. Even
I'm
more
a
now.
I'm not even part of the guild.
Yeah.
Not that I really care, but if they can fish in the water for your good graces, are you gonna charge them rent or charge them taxes for that? Or tributes?
What? They have nothing.
If they're fishing in the water, which is owned by the storm giants, are you gonna turn around and request reparation?
I mean, maybe the elves won't even need to swim out that far anyway. You know, the smaller fish stay around the shore. I mean, how are they going to manage to hunt the fish that we do?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's good. Cool. And he just sits back in his chair and goes back to dreaming.
Cool, bro.
So imagine. So the best way to describe this, right, is that storm giants, when they're outside the Underdark, when they're in the world above, they kind of act like you do when you're dreaming. You don't really trust what you're seeing or hearing some of the time. You sometimes do things that make no sense because you don't really care. No, this isn't real. This isn't true. None of this is there's no consequences for you here, Harry, in this world. None of it matters. It's the caves in the dark, which that's where the real world is.
That's rather interesting.
How cool is that?
That's very cool. But
this is just straight out of Stone Giants from normal D&D. I haven't modified this at all because it's so cool I don't need to.
Platonic.
Yes.
It's also very interesting that they would be even allowed on a council, deciding where an entire race of people go. I don't care.
You get the sense from your brief interactions with King Neon. He did seem surprised that a stone giant had come. Yeah, you might remember. he was genuinely surprised that they'd sent a representative. Did you wander in? What are you doing here? Yeah, he was
really
surprised the hill giants didn't, and surprised the stone giants did.
Okay, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's listening and you're a DM and you want to do stuff with giants, the stone giants by far have the coolest stuff going on with them. They're really cool. The whole idea of the dreaming and the way that they see the real world is so much fun, and you can have a lot of fun with roleplay with that, because if you're dreaming, you're just going to do whatever shit pops into your head. Fuck the consequences. So there's a lot of fun you can have with that.
That's borderline some eldritch shit right there. Dreaming of things.
I don't want to say too much because I've got you guys are I don't want to say anything, but my plan with this campaign is that you get to see a bit of all of the giants, and we haven't done anything with the Underdark in Tyranny of Dragons, so I was really keen to do some stuff with the Underdark in this, and doing it with the Stone Giants seemed the coolest way to do it. So yeah, I've got some cool stuff with the Stone Giants.
I also think then I'll keep it as a surprise, but I think the feat I chose works really well then. If he thinks he's dreaming, so.
Ooh, what'd you take?
Yeah.
You can tell us.
I'll leave it for combat, and you'll see.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you think? I look at now in her giant form, and I tried to think of her name. I try to vocalize it out, but Niles not knowing it. He just
roll me a history check.
Yeah, okay. As Niles or as the giant?
As the giant. You're in the giant's form now.
I am in the giant's form. Yep. Give me a second. I don't have that character sheet open at the moment. I don't think it's very high though. Come on. I think it's gonna be. Oh, I didn't have it open. Oh, never mind.
Oh.
15.
15. as you look over at now, that sort of like version of now, the sort of after image of now that you've been seeing this whole time kind of fades into the background. And as you stare at your longtime companion, you say the name Hudvar without any pause. And I will update your character sheet, Claire.
Oh, thanks.
No problem. Hudvar.
Yeah, he just comes out. What do you think, Hudvar? Huh?
What? Yeah. Does that? I guess that just kind of
It just feels right, feels natural. Yeah, that's your name.
I like pause having said it, and then I kind of like look a bit like, and then I just continue on.
Yeah. We have the authority here.
Indeed.
We also brought him there in the first place.
Well, I had that idea originally about the, dividing it up based on a bit more fairly, So I just can't remember. I defer to. I'll try and use the name of Niles' character.
Yeah, do you want to roll me a history check?
Keel. I think I have it. No, it's still a +1. Never mind. I was getting excited.
I'm sorry.
It's a +2.
Oh my god, it's a natural 20.
I'm smart.
As you look across at Niles's character, again, you just immediately there's no sense of Niles anymore. You're fully immersed as you see Sindaris.
Sindaris.
Oh, that's cool.
Sindaris. On this one.
I have Sindaris. I'll type that in for you. As you see Sindaris, a long-time friend, a long-time trusted confidant that you have spent many, many years, many centuries, in fact, working together to help position the Storm Giants in the most advantageous way possible. While not members of the Althing, obviously King Mjorn is the representative of the Storm Giants, both of you have done a lot of work in the background to ensure Storm Giant interests remain at the forefront of the Althing's prerogative. You have worked very hard at this.
This is
We were chosen specifically because of.
Yeah.
You get the sense King Mjorn, I mean, I would say with a natural 20, you just, as you concentrate Hudvar, you just find yourself like remembering King Mjorn coming to you going, now look, I know that this whole council thing is going to be positioned as a way to show unity, but we need to make sure that Storm Giant land is left untouched. I know Sinmare is pushing for these elves to stay where they are, but we need to make sure that they're someplace away from our interests.
Okay. Just remember what our interests are.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hudvar. I have not forgotten. I do still believe taking up the hill giant space is an advantage with those reparations and an allegiance, so to speak, between the giants to intercede if the hill giants do have any encounters with the elves. I believe that is a good line of thinking there. If they are to take up this Crescent Bay area, it would need to be in such a way that they would pay tribute to us and ask for our permissions to to fish out in the bay there.
And we will provide protection naturally as Storm Giants do, right?
Of course.
One not assume that would be necessary anyway, considering it was a Storm Giant that brought these elves into this place in the first place.
I mean, actually, technically, it was a Warforged that did it, but still.
The Warforged under the command of a Storm Giant.
I was going to say.
So, You just said that you would provide protection for them, so we don't have to do that. Then you guys have that covered.
I'm sure we can set up some sort of systems. Perhaps we could speak to Simare. Perhaps she has something. That she could
I think
work out.
being so close to them, I think you should look after them. You know, you don't want to lose any of your territory, so I think don't lose any territory, but they become a bit more. You'll look after them. You're their overlords.
I mean, I'm not going to personally look after them. I've got things to do. And I think of...
Well, I mean your giant, race.
The clan.
I think I look at Krasus's frost giant, and I say,
I'm probably getting a little
me.
antsy. I'm probably getting a little antsy too. I imagine that this guy's a bit more of a man of action, so he's probably like sitting there pumping his leg a little bit, like getting a bit antsy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So for Krasus and for Ember, I would say for Krasus and for Ember, both of you are finding this very hard to get through. Krasus, rather than sort of like getting antsy and moving around, it's actually more Ember who's starting to become a bit more like moving. You've kind of frozen in place, Krasus, sort of staying very still, and all of your energy is going inside. You just feel this like tension rising within you, but none of it's escaping. For Ember, it's the opposite.
Right,
Ember, you're
yeah,
kind of
cool,
moving around
cool.
a little bit. The flames on the flames that make up your hair kind of dancing in this phantom wind as you kind of move around a little bit. As you like pick up one of the cups and slowly begin charring the wood on the outside with your fingers, like getting a bit bored, getting a bit like antsy.
See now, my friend. And I try to think of Krasus's giant's name.
Yeah, go for it. I'm gonna say that I'm happy to use your previous history check. We don't need to keep doing this again and again and again.
Okay.
As you look across, sorry, let me just find Krasus's one. Ulfric, Olfrik.
Oh, that's cool too.
Sweet.
Yes, well, Ulfric, you do raise a good point. You wouldn't need to worry about the elves at all if it was in our territory. Which is maybe leading me to believe that perhaps taking that hill giant space would be better for all. Be a fair distribution of responsibility.
But wasn't the choice of not giving them any land in the storm part of what you said? And because of that, you have to protect them? Just give them some land in the water, and you don't have to have anything to do with them. And then I get up and stare out the window.
No, but it's...
Yeah, sure. Why not?
But sure, I mean, if we do give them the area in the water, then we do. There is, I suppose, there's some sort of duty of care. I'm not sure. Putting them in the hill in the hill giant territory seems logical. The hill giants have not graced themselves with their presence here, so I suppose that is a fair decision.
Yes, she started as always. Welcome. We did discuss that if we just took places from the hill giants, they're going to eat them.
I did say that.
That is true.
Plus,
I feel like
sorry.
No,
Giving up just this section of bay, a small, tiny-ass part of the bay that isn't currently in use, will also sort of probably serve to say, oh yes, the storm giants have already given up land, should the need arise that others come through the portal and more land beneath be allocated.
Well, if it's only a small portion of the bay,
And
then
it's
maybe
where, it's where,
sorry, Hoodva, continue.
it's where Palin,
Oxenfurt.
Palin. The bay is Palin.
Oh, it is Palin Bay.
Oxenfurt's on the west coast.
Right, gotcha.
but that's not important. It's a small bay.
It could give opportunity to some of the younger storm giants to step up and perhaps show some initiative. Could be a good learning opportunity for them.
Is there leadership skills?
Potentially create some extra roles within the clan to look after the elves and make sure that they are protected. Perhaps we could leverage the elves to our advantage in some way. Perhaps they could bring us tributes and and we allow them to fish the waters there. Could be a harmonious relationship. Doesn't have to be a difficult one. I'm sure King Bjorn, if we phrase it in that way, he may see the advantages there rather than it being a detriment. It's not giving up land per se, it's creating an ally in the Isles, perhaps.
Perfect. Well, that sounds like we've come to a decision then.
I think so.
Good.
Agreed.
As long as everyone here understands that it was the storm giants that graciously gave up their land.
Indeed. And it will be the storm giants that have to explain this to King Bjorn.
Yeah. Well, not.
Oh, and don't forget that the storm giants, the one that obviously get the tribute, so that it sort of helps itself.
Of course.
Yeah.
Storm giants.
And the storm giants let them in. Yeah, exactly.
You're still staring out the window.
And I'm now touching it.
Touching the window.
Yeah, just to see if I can walk through it or not.
No, you can't walk through it. But if you were to really push against it, maybe you could.
I
like a lot of effort.
I just kind of go up and I just kind of like pat you on the back a little bit and go, I think perhaps you should leave that window alone. Come here, take a seat where you might be a little bit more comfortable. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Amazing.
Starved giant? What?
Oh my god.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Okay. I think we're in agreement.
All right, and I'll turn to Lyra's giant and say her name, and then be like, would you like to draft it up? I think you probably got
Yes.
writing.
Yes, I can. Pulls out. I think there were like some pens and parchments scattered across the table. I don't have much in the way of. I can't remember if I have much in the way of drawing. Do they have much in the way of drawing? Otherwise, they thrust the paper as like, if you draw the map, I will write the words.
Done, and I'll snap the piece of granite that I was using, pass half to her, draw up the map, and then you can write the parts.
Perfect.
So she just writes them.
Also, what name did I say when I addressed it?
Talking to Nauthiz.
No,
to
Lyra.
Oh, to Lyra. As you look towards Lyra, you call her Corius.
Glorious.
Oh, that's cool.
Put it in chat.
And what kind of giant are you?
Cloud.
Lyra?
Loud.
Proud.
Okay.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh, thank you. And then if she can try and respond with
Alamus.
the name.
What was it?
Alamus.
Alamus.
And what giant were you?
Cloud as well. Yeah.
I will paste a little table, a handy little table with all of your names.
Oh,
If that'd be handy.
Oh,
in chat.
little table.
The only person who
them
doesn't
all
know
now
their name
except
yet
one.
is Dave.
And Simon?
And so,
And me.
Oh, and
And
Simon.
And Simon.
Sorry, Simon.
Actually, we'll sign it. We'll all sign it.
Nice.
I just love the idea that no one knows what my character's name is.
That we'll never know.
Yeah.
we're probably slightly confused that you're here. So it's perfect.
Alrighty. Perfect. As you will go and sign, I need to know what order you're signing the document in.
Oh, we'll go first.
Wait, rank
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think so.
definitely.
Cool. Just check.
Definitely.
Yeah, cool.
Sindaris
That's fine.
and,
You may carry on then.
Yeah.
I just wanted to double check if the storm giants were still going to just like push their way in and do this.
Oh, yeah.
As you all go to sign your names, you find yourself signing with the names of your giants. The names that you sign for now is Hudvar. For Niles is Sindaris. Next to the two cloud giants, for Tetra is Alamus. For Lyra, Corius. After that, Ember and Krasus both go up, and at the exact same time, kind of nudging into each other, sign on opposite sides of the bottom of the page as Eldia, Ember, and Ulfric, Krasus, sign the paper.
Can I just say mine's illegible?
Do you want me to tell you what your name is? Because you know it, but did you want to...
I
Actually,
know my name.
Fun fact: if you are dreaming and you want to know if you're dreaming, try and read a book in your dream. If you genuinely can't tell, go and try and read a book. You will find you cannot read a book, and you also cannot write legible writing in a dream. So that's actually very spot on.
Can I ask a
roleplay.
question? Can I ask a question as well?
Yeah.
If I am a stone giant and mainly live in the Underdark,
yeah,
with an absence of light,
Yes.
do we read Braille? Or
I'm going to rule that you absolutely do.
Yeah.
I can't read and write.
That does.
That makes total sense.
I like that a
Checks
lot.
out.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
Most of the giant runes glow softly, but I'm going to say that all stone giants learn 2 languages, the visible and invisible languages. And that's what I'm going to call them.
That
The
leads me
visible
to
and invisible
believe-
script, because I love that.
I can imagine the architecture then would be
Yeah.
very much like you kind of run your finger along
Yes.
and it like traces through like a that's cool.
DM furiously typing in the background.
No, I will sign in my Braille signature.
I love it. In the invisible script. Yeah. I love it.
Yep. There's some dots. You just see some dots and lines on the page.
And finally,
That's cool.
finally, Utsnir signs the script.
Wait, who's that?
Utsnir, Utnir.
Now,
Who's that?
That's you, Dave. You're Utnir.
Okay. U-T.
We don't know that.
N-I-R. No,
Do you know-
only
do you know how you
Dave
do
knows
it?
that.
I imagine like on your finger or like on your hand, you create like the like because you can like I would imagine you have some sort of mastery over the elements. You could
I'm
just
thinking
create-
it's like I'm thinking he's got like a bag full of like the letter stamps, and he just pull them down, and it's like a 3D textured stamp.
That's what
and
I was
just-
thinking. Yeah, like
Yeah.
debossing the page.
Yeah.
I was just imagining in pen just drawing what the rail would have been.
Oh, that's even better.
That doesn't make a lot of sense though for the invisible script.
Yeah, that's I'm fucking dreaming.
Probably it makes more sense for you then to like maybe you already have your name, like you knew you were coming here and you've already got like while you were awake you had the presence of mind to like have your name as an invisible script stamp, and as just sort of looking at this page, the words kind of swimming in front of you, you just sort of like reach down into your pouch at your waist, pull out this stone stamp and just slam it down on the page, leaving these impressions in the invisible script.
Done.
Brilliant. As you sign the paper, the doors open and King Mjorn steps in. Well, how are you all doing? Has there been any progress?
Yes.
I hand the piece of paper over to one of the storm giants to give to the king.
Nice.
I take the paper and I hand it over to the king.
King Mjorn
Yes.
takes the page, looks over. And this is your unanimous decision. You all agree this is where the elves should go.
We all signed it.
Very well. I shall go and inform Sinmare at once. I am sure she is anxious to return to the land below to let the elves know that we have reached a decision. Thank you. Thank you for your unity.
King Bjorn, I would like to add, just make sure that you read over those notes quite thoroughly. There are some reparations in place for the storm giants there. I believe that will help you with any sort of doubts or concerns you have.
I'm very pleased to hear that. I will indeed. Thank you, all of you. I know there are troubling times ahead, and we face possible adversity. I struggle to say that word. We face possible adversity. I'm pleased that you were able to come to a decision. While none of you are members of the Earthing, you have all represented your various clans today, beyond what I could have hoped for. I thank you. And with that, your vision starts to go black, that tunnel vision setting in again as the noise begins to fade out. And as you awaken in your bodies, in your true forms, you find yourselves looking up at the sky. Leaning over you is Balthazar, looking very concerned, the older human man sort of leaning above you, gently sort of slapping, I'm going to say gently slapping Krasus's face, trying to like wake him up. Oh, hello, are you, oh my goodness, you're awake. Oh, I was worried something had happened to you in there. My goodness, are you all right?
I'm on the ground. I look up at him. I sort of eyes widen, look around, stand up, pat myself off, look around to see if my compatriots are near me.
Yeah, everyone's around you. It looks like you've all been pulled onto the grass. You can see that various villagers are standing around you. Some of them still you watch as Now is slowly lowered. 9 people holding Now's stone body aloft, gently lowered as they step out of this arcane gateway, this shimmering portal of light that, as they step out, shifts, shimmers, and then closes as Balthazar stops concentrating on the spell. And that is where we're going to wrap up for tonight. We will jump back again next time. Now, unfortunately, there's not going to be a session next Wednesday because I'm away at a conference, but we will be back the Wednesday after that to find out what has happened with it. So the date we're not, so Wednesday the 26th, no session. Wednesday the 2nd of August, session. And then back to normal after that.
Perfect.
Yay.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. That is not how I pictured this session going. That was very much DM on the fly as you guys completely tore apart the...
Fabric of reality?
Yeah,
I
genuinely thought that would be lasting a lot longer than it did. You guys really... And especially when Claire was like, oh yeah, we definitely need to just do what we know from history. I was like, excellent, Claire. Thank you. Perfect. Keep within the lane. Brilliant. And then immediately you guys start tearing the walls down. And this was revealed a lot earlier than I planned. So I've got some DM work to do in the background. But no, I think that was a much more natural way to reveal it than what I ever could have planned. So I'm happy you guys did it, but I'm also a bit... that was still good because I hadn't fully fleshed out as much of that as I was hoping for.
That was sick, man.
That was great.
Goodness me. Well,
my mind is still blown at the thought that we're role-playing. We are role-playing characters that are role-playing characters.
Yes.
Yes.
And for poor old Dave, he's got an awareness that it's not the real world twice over. Which is just compounding.
He's gonna wake up like the chick from Inception.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very Inception.
Actually, maybe I should be introducing sanity checks for Harry as he especially when you synchronize and when you have resonance with your giant echo. That's going to be
He's
interesting.
Gonna have an existential crisis, just that's
going to be fascinating.
I'm just a widow rabbit.
I love that you're also a merchant as well. Could you imagine just sitting there at your stand, just none of this is real.
My favorite part is someone comes up and goes, "How much for this? How much for this knife?" It's I don't know. What is this knife? Where is this knife? How is this knife? What is this but a moment, a fleeting glimpse of infinity that we are destined to walk only an abstract, tiny fragment of this world?
Oh my god!
What?
I was a giant once.
Yes.
What was that? Sorry, Michael?
Is Harry the rabbit from Donnie Darko?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I guess he is. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, everybody. That was a slightly longer session than normal. Thank you for sticking around with us. Stay safe, stay well, and we will see you all again in the future. I will do a raid now for the Twitch streamers, but for those watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast, thank you so much. Hit that subscribe, like, comment button, whichever one you like. It really helps us out. Thank you so much, and have a lovely night. See you next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.